Holiday, right?
Yeah, it's a holiday for everybody else except for the two of
Yeah,
us.
we're always working. Like, gotta always
Well,
be selling.
Um, but yeah,
Um,
it's going good. It's starting to get like cooler here for sure in the
oh yeah,
mornings. So weather's changing. That's kind of rare for California.
I feel sorry for you. It's like
The-
we're seeing like snow here in a couple days probably.
oh, really?
Well, no, it's actually pretty. And it's about 44 today, so I mean the weather's pretty good out here still. But
Yeah.
wait for it. All right, so I've seen a lot of excitement about EnGenius Wi-Fi 7 this week going on LinkedIn and stuff. The ECW536. So that's a 4x4 Wi-Fi 7 AP by 4x4x4
Yep.
Wi-Fi 7 AP. So what's the deal on that?
What do you mean? What's the deal?
Well, so
Is there a
so
deal?
yeah, so no, I mean there might be deals, but so this is like one of the first business class Wi-Fi 7 APs out there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, first business class, enterprise class cloud AP. So
Right.
yeah, like you said, it's the 2.4, the 5, and the 6 gigahertz all have like a 4 by 4 design.
Yes.
Um, and so, theoretical speeds, right? I know people don't like to talk about theoretical, but just a point of reference, like 6 gigahertz, it's like 11 and a half gigabit, somewhere around there. 5 gigahertz is like six gig, and 2.4 is like 1.3 gig. So, we talked about this a while ago. We did some testing on it, and we were seeing on average close range. Keep in mind, close range around 6 gigabit per second.
6 gig on one band. So because we don't have a Wi-Fi 7 client yet.
No, yeah, we were using two of these devices, one in like a client bridge mode, and the other one in access point mode
Right.
to do the testing. So you typically won't see a 4 by 4 client device out there, but
No.
it just gives us like a point of reference of like, okay, what can you achieve with like a 4 by 4 like laptop, for example, or some sort of adapter.
Right.
Um, what could you achieve? And we were doing that. We were only testing the 320 megahertz wide channels.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but yeah, I mean, we had 6 gigabit for hours. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we were transmitting 6 gigabit over hours, not just like over a short period of time. We're at a trade show. We were doing about 2.5 gigabit at the trade show for probably 7 to 8 hours, somewhere around there. Probably more like 8 hours, just constantly.
So
So
so what you're saying is this thing it's a heavy duty access point basically for high density. It can handle like lots of traffic over time and right now it's going to work with all available Wi-Fi clients. Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E. Anything since 11B, right? Is going to work with this access point.
yeah, it's all generations have been backwards compatible. So
Yeah.
yeah. So within the cloud interface where you do all your programming, you will have the ability to turn off BE, and we had to do that for Wi-Fi 6 or
Mm-hmm.
11AX. We had to have the ability to turn off 11AX because there's in some cases you have legacy devices out there that can't communicate.
Right.
Like you'll have the one-off device that can't do it. So we do have the function in there to be able to turn off BE. So that's definitely in there.
Because let's see, our Wi-Fi 6E requires WPA3, right, to get the full speeds.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And
well, yeah, just to be on 6 gigahertz, you have to be at WPA3.
right, so then basically you'd have to create another SSID for a lot of those legacy devices that just have 2.4 and 5
Yeah.
with mixed mode, WPA2, WPA3, or what have you, right? But then the big news about so right now you can use this ECW 536 with all your existing clients, but then next year when we start seeing a lot of Wi-Fi 7 clients starting to hit, right? That's when all the laptops are going to be released. There's only a few devices out now, right? Like
there's about 35 Wi-Fi 7 devices out there now.
Yeah.
Client devices, so.
And a lot of those are just Android phones, pretty much.
It was a mix of, they're mainly phones, yeah. There was a mix of phones. I can't remember all the different devices, but there's somebody here that has one, a Wi-Fi 7 phone. And we're running a 536 here, so.
Yeah. But once those those laptops come out next year, they're going to probably be like 2x2, Wi-Fi 7 and, supported. But they'll be able to combine all three of those bands, right, and get up to 18.7 gigabits aggregate speed. Now that's probably a 4x4 client.
It has multi-link operation, so that allows the client device to communicate to the access point on two bands. So you can communicate on 5 gigahertz and you can communicate on 6 gigahertz, and you have two connections, right?
Right.
One can be on this is an extreme case. One could be on 160 megahertz, and the other one could be on 320 megahertz.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can start to combine these things. I don't think you would ever use that. Maybe in a real test environment or something like that. But maybe try it for gaming. I don't know. But there's multiple things. You can have, on 5 gigahertz, maybe you have 40 megahertz, and then on Wi-Fi 7 you have 80 megahertz, right? Or even 160 megahertz. So
right. So you're going to combine and aggregate the throughput, but also you'll get improved reliability because you're not relying on just one band anymore, right? So you have that multi-link connections going on two bands. So even if you get interference on one, you'll still get data through on the other. So.
Yeah, and the one thing we haven't talked about, I don't know if anybody's talked about, I mean, you and I have not talked about this yet, is in the development and the integration process for cloud. When you look at client list, you'll now have one client on two bands.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, and you'll see a different signal and noise in each band. So and I wonder how it's going to work. Roaming, it's going to be roaming on two different bands, and you could be on two different access points maybe. Probably not, but no, it's going to have to.
Yeah, you'll still be on one. You'll still be on
access
one
point.
Yeah.
But it's going to have different SNRs for each band. So when does it decide to roam? It's going to be interesting.
MAC addresses also. You're going to have more.
Yeah, you're going to have two MAC addresses for each. So we'll see how all that stuff works. It's going to be interesting to actually try it. So these are going to start shipping when, another month or so?
They will start shipping in early December.
Okay. And you will need a 10 gigabit or a PoE++ switch to use this thing.
Yeah, I would at least have 5 gigabit or multi-gig to 5 gigabit at minimum.
What about the PoE requirements though? Does it require plus plus?
It does. It does require a +1. I always say, we always put up the max power consumption.
The max power, yeah.
Yeah, and so I typically, if it's PoE++ or PoE+, I just say you should have a PoE++ device, right? Or PoE+, depending on the maximum power consumption, because you don't know when that's going to happen when you need that peak power.
Right.
And the more load you have on the AP, the more power consumption you will have. So, if it's running in your office or something like that, then maybe you can get away with it. But when you don't have enough power on an AP, that just turns into a lot of
problems.
A lot of muddy water, because it does, there's weird things that happen where hey, the SSID is not broadcasting for some odd reason. And, we've seen multiple things, not just on our access points, but other manufacturer access points when we're trying to troubleshoot or help customers.
Yeah.
It just gives you weird
right.
the feedback is really weird, right?
And yeah, you'll start pointing the fingers between the switch manufacturer and the AP. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
if you're not running what the spec says, then you're gonna have some sort of issue. It may seem to work, but you
yeah,
could run into an issue down the road.
yeah. And the one thing, to kind of change directions a little bit, um, a lot of people are starting to install Wi-Fi 6E, right?
Yeah.
And we are starting to sell more and more Wi-Fi 6E. When the 536 ships, that is a really good option because now you're still kind of buying. You're not kind of. You're buying 2.4, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz, and maybe you're just utilizing Wi-Fi 6 at that particular time. But like as the adoption of Wi-Fi 7 happens, you can enable BE right on our access points and start utilizing the Wi-Fi 7 functionality of it as well. So you're kind of buying into the future a little bit. So
you're saying, ECW336 is good to buy too, right? Like because.
Yeah. So no, we have a path for our customers. Like you can buy a 336 now. That's a 6E device,
Right.
and you're good for a pretty long
because
time, right?
once the
Like
Wi-Fi
3-4
7
years.
clients come out, they're going to support the 6 gigahertz and they'll get just as fast of speeds on that, right?
Right. Yeah. So a Wi-Fi 7 device is going to work on the ECW336, and then if you want a future proof, you can buy the 536. And maybe it's just supporting Wi-Fi 6E devices right now, right? But as the Wi-Fi 7 devices come out, it will also support those, and you'll see better performance out of those devices as well.
Right. So either one of those, the 6 gigahertz devices is going to be a good way to future-proof.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
the Wi-Fi 7 stuff is really, it's off in the future. And you're not, I don't know, we don't know what the gains are, right, from combining those bands and the other features that Wi-Fi 7 has. I'm sure it's going to be good, but you're going to get most of that. Most of the deal is that you're on 6 gigahertz now, that you have all this extra, bandwidth to use.
Even with multi-link operation, you're most likely going to utilize 6 gigahertz and like 5 gigahertz, right? But you can use any of the bands to do multi-link. So
yeah. So either way, it would be good. And we have the ECW336 right now, and they're well known. They're working great. So I'll put a link to both of those down below. All right. So you also want to talk about the new licensing, the Cloud Pro licensing that came out?
Yeah, we have multiple licensing coming out, right? So there's for the new PDUs, you can utilize some pro features around that. So there's a license there. There's a new extender switch. Did you get that yet or no?
I didn't get that yet. No. So
let's not talk about that one.
Let's not talk about that. That's top secret.
Yeah. And then there's the MSP portal. I'll be doing a webinar next week around that. That has a license if you want to utilize that. That's a 1 year and a 3 year and a 5 year, I think.
Yep.
An MSP portal just allows you to combine all your organizations and better manage your devices, better manage your devices. And also it allows you to clone like one network from one org to a new org. So you can move or clone networks from one org to another org, or you can clone full orgs. So there's
that's big. Yeah, that's big. That saves a lot of time if you're because right now you'd have to recreate the network under the new org if you didn't have an MSP license.
Yeah. So, but if you have a new org, which is a new customer in our world, right? If you create a new customer, you have to recreate the network, right?
Right.
And that might be very
simple.
It might be a simple thing, but they're more complicated configurations out there. Like maybe more on the SSID side of things.
Yeah.
But what it's doing, it's copying the network-wide settings of the org.
So if you are an MSP, you can have a template basically with like what you're deploying on all the sites for your customers, and basically just copy that over into the new customer, create a new org, and copy over the network that you have set up, right?
Yep.
All right. And is there a way to split with the MSP? Can they split it off like later if their customer wants to take over it or something like that?
Yeah, you can always do that. You can do that just in cloud. You don't need MSP portal to do that.
Okay.
if I have an organization and I'm handing it over to you, I would make you admin, and then I would delete myself, and then it hands it over to you.
Okay, got it. Yep. Okay, so that they can already do that. All right, nice. All right, anything else you want to talk about this week?
No, I think that covers everything.
All right, Brian, let's get back to work. We'll see you next
All right.
week.